In Parashat Vayishlach, we have the terrible story of Dinah's capture and rape by Shem, and of course the aftermath with Yaakov and his sons and the people of Shem. And one of the illuminating elements of the story is how the Torah describes the perpetrators of this terrible deed. Initially, the Torah says that it was Shem. It says, Asher timei eis Dinah mosam, in the singular, that Shem was the one who raped Dinah. But later in the story, after Shimon and Levi killed the people of Shem, the Torah tells us that Dinah's brothers, all of her brothers, came and they plundered from the people of Shem, Asher tim'u, in plural, that the people of Shem in plural were responsible for the rape of Dinah. So what happened here? Was it just Shem alone, Asher timei, or was it Shem and the people of Shem, Asher tim'u? So there are different approaches, and there's one approach which is surprising, but takes the words very literally, that says that indeed, initially Shem raped Dinah, and later all the people of the city of Shem, they also raped her as well. Asher timei, initially Shem, Asher tim'u, later the subsequent rape by the other people of Shem. However, the Radak and the Sforno, each in their own way, say a different pshat, which I believe is much closer to the pshat, is indeed extremely illuminating about what happened here and what we can learn from it. The Radak says, of course, in terms of the Maisa, it was only Shem who raped Dinah. However, the people of Shem who saw what was happening and didn't say anything, they saw Shem taking her and they didn't protest. They too bear responsibility, and therefore the Torah can say about them, Asher tim'u, they plural, they all in some way allowed for this terrible rape to happen. The Sforno goes one step further. The Sforno says that it's not only that the people saw what was happening in real time and didn't protest, but actually the people of Shem, they sowed the seeds of what Shem eventually would do. You see, the culture in Shem was such that it wasn't completely beyond the pale. It wasn't completely off the table. It wasn't completely morally heinous for a man to take a young girl, whether from her parents' home or from her husband's home, and take her for himself as a wife, as a pilegesh, for whatever he wanted. You know who created that culture? It wasn't Shem. Shem was acting based on the prevailing culture around him. The people who created that culture were the people of Shem. The people in the city of Shem had created a culture where that was not so terrible that Shem wouldn't think of doing it. We see from the Sforno that if it's true for a terrible Maisa, a terrible Avera, that's true for a Maisa Tova as well. That's not only the people who do good things, but it's all of us who can create a culture that if somebody does something good, if we participate in creating that culture, then it's considered as if we did it ourselves. If we create a culture where a Beis Medrash is open, is happening on Friday night, on Shabbos afternoon, the people who come and learn, we get part of that Maisa. If we create a culture where davening is quiet and respectful and focused, then the people who come into our shul and daven with focus is as if we did it ourselves. If we create a culture where people are courteous and kind, where they clean up after themselves, where they lend a hand, if we create that culture, then when someone comes and in our homes, in our shuls, in our spaces, is courteous and kind and respectful, then it's as if we did it ourselves. And if, Chalila, on the other side of the ledger, if we create a culture where certain behaviors, which are terrible, are not considered so terrible on the communal level, certain behaviors, certain types of speech, if we see that they happen, and we allow the culture to give its even implicit approval of such a thing, then when it happens, it's as if, Chalila, we are responsible as well. So we learn from the story of Shem and Dinah, not only the depravity to which a single individual can fall, as we see in Shem, the person, but we also learn about the responsibility we all have to our family, our community, to the cultures around us, our responsibility both to create a positive culture and our responsibility that if there's a negative culture, to do our best to change it for the good. Have a wonderful Shabbos.